Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Ainy Retyanasari, and in this video, I will explain about what is the definition of poetry based on my understand and what are the poetry elements. Let's begin from the definition of poetry. Poetry comes from the Greek word poet, which means making or creating. This is why people who write poetry, we call it them poet. Poetry itself is a group of words that contains the expression of thoughts or feelings such as joy, anger, sadness, and fear that the writers wants to convey in beautiful and meaningful language. So those who read it will be amazed because poetry gives sense of beauty to writing. One example of poetry is Sunflower by Pam Stewart. If I were a flower, I will be a sunflower, to always follow the sun, turn my back to darkness, stand prone, tall, and straight, even with my head full of seeds. After the definition of poetry, next I will explain about elements in poetry. So there are some elements in poetry. 1. Rhyme. Rhyme is the words that end with the same sound. For example, Pantan, well mile. 2. Rhythm. Rhythm is the beat of sounds or sound like a song that we can find in some poetry. For example, I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here is my handle, here is my spout. 3. Repetition. Repetition is repeat same sounds, words, and phrases over and over. For example, snowflakes, swirt and twirt, swirt and twirt in the storm. 4. Imagery. Imagery is words that create visual and sensory images in reader's mind. For example, the sweet smell of freshly baked apple pie filled the air. It is an example of the imagery of smell because when we read smell of freshly baked apple pie, we can have an image how of the smell of apple pie. 5 is symbolism. Symbolism is something that represents something else. For example, a purple heart can symbolize bravery, and a white flag can symbolize surrender. 6. Simile. Simile is compared to similar things using like, as, or as if. For example, he was as slow as a snail. The water was like glass. 7. Metaphor. Metaphor is compared to different things without any talk of similarity. For example, my father is a rock, the boy is a sweet cupcake. 8. Alliteration. Alliteration is repeating beginning sounds. For example, Sarah, Cynthia, Sylvia, Stout would not take the garbage out. And Paul's penguins play ping pong. 9. Onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is sounds like the noise or action. For example, chirp, chirp, chirp when the birds. The clop, clop, clop of the approaching horseman. 10. Personification. Personification is to make a non-human thing seem human. For example, the wind murmured the trees. So there are 10 elements in poetry: rhyme, rhythm, repetition, imagery, symbolism, simile, metaphor, alliteration, onomatopoeia, and personification. And I think that's all from me about definition and the elements of poetry. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.